Welcome, everyone. Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, welcome to Demonics 101, machines produced by the Satanist Karl Welz. And you get to enjoy his evil energy in every device that he produces. And here we have one of his famous, infamous 3-dial units with the little phallic symbol out here. This draws in from Satan. So it's really sad that we have these type of reality out there in this particular industry. It's always amazing how these things tend to, these negative people who continue to go out into all industries and put their filth on it. So we live in that kind of society, and the buyer has to beware. But let's look at this again. We already looked at his basic phallic symbol no-dial unit, and you notice how this in general just don't make sense. And we'll go over through all of this in general, but let's do the good old important energy test. What kind of energy does this put out? As I said, people, if you think I'm somehow doing this myself, well, I would expect that, and you can talk to Satan about that, because I'm sure you're a follower. I deal with pure science, and if something's good, it's good. If something's bad, it's bad. I don't have to contrive or lie. It's facts. And, of course, I hate to confuse people with the facts out there. So the whole idea is, let me shut up here and concentrate a wee bit. What kind of energy does this machine put out? Is it positive, clockwise? Is it counterclockwise, or which is negative? Or is it just neutral? So let's get this going. Looks like we're getting some pretty good energy here. Oh, what a shocker. Demonics puts out demon energies, negative energies, and look at how much is putting out there. I got to give old Satan boy credit, because he certainly put together strong, toxic stuff that not only killed a bunch of people, as far as I allege. Look at that. I mean, it's rare you get that kind of energy coming from anything, but look at that negative counterclockwise energy. Shocking. Of course, his wife died at 70. He died in the 70s. Well, we all know how the Argon does you. And so many of his people, I have a long list of people that have contacted me stating how they got sick from this technology. Let me adjust my light here. And, of course, if you have one of these, at the very least, you should get our clearing plate. And that goes for any unit you have from anybody. In general, I would bite the bullet and get rid of it. Now, we're going to show you what's inside of this thing on Patreon. We'll take it apart. I'm sure it's going to look very similar to the other unit, but who knows? But let's also look at the basic construction here. We have your typical plastic enclosure case. Okay, for an enclosure, for a plastic case, it's not bad, but certainly not something of what I would call high quality or skill to put together a plastic little box. But, you generally want to build things of quality. You use either wood or metal, etc. But the other thing is that let's get a little knifey out here. And, of course, what you have here is that stickers. It's so high-techy. So the whole idea is that stickers, again, is a low-class, cheap way of doing something. So that way you can use any kind of cheap dial that you want. You put the stickers down, and you just get any dial that has a registration mark like this on it, and you can put it on here. Good dials, generally, you have the numbers on a dial or on an actual made number thing. And, of course, these go up to, what are these going up to? These go up to 100, from 0 to 100. And, again, this is just a sticker. So, again, that's low quality. If you're going to make something claiming you do it so much, there's no reason why you couldn't have your case made with the numbers on it, so you don't have to put a sticker there. So that's just another way to save money. Again, these are claimed at this particular time to be made in the U.S. They normally were made in Romania and Bulgaria, the hotbeds of criminal activity in Europe. I ought to tell you something. I'm not plugging this in here. And generally, when we do show this and open it up, we'll plug it up and see if that plug it in and see if that changes the energy flow. It's unlikely. If something is producing negative energy, when you plug it in, it's not going to change that. Many times the unit will be showing neutral energy or even positive energy. But as I did with many units, usually when you plug it in, the actual energy field becomes worse. It's got your typical little showing that the unit is on, your on and off switch, and of course your power control. And I guess this is the Rad 1000 Demonic Onyx. Okay, for all of you who don't know, Karl Welz is a well-known Satanist, has been all of his life. He's been involved with all sorts of evil practices, and as I allege, involved with criminals, which I've been able to verify. And of course, his partner, who's still out there, is a devout Satanist, and this has been told to me by many people. So, while Welz is now in hell with the rest of his family, his technology or his company goes on polluting and toxifying people and getting no results. But, buyer beware, buy into the system, buy into the stooges. All of these other radionic practitioners have been working with him, have been working against me. So I think that tells you a lot. The entire industry is a real problem now, and there is no legitimate radionic manufacturer out there except myself. Don't know of anyone, period. So unless I'm selling it and have clarified that items are good, or I manufacture it myself, it is bad, plain and simple. But, buy something like this, which is overpriced crap, for $300, $400, $500, and you get the prize of being toxified. And what we're going to do here, as I said, so it's just basically your typical plastic enclosure. You've got your lights, your switch, etc., your power supply, and of course your little phallic symbol there to produce orgone, which doesn't even is nothing like that. Wilhelm Reich is rolling over his grave because of the garbage that people are putting his title on, which, by the way, means orgone. And Wilhelm Reich was a strange, sexually obsessed person. So we do have to be careful of who these people are. So one thing we will do here is let's do, again, is this a traditional radionic unit? Well, it's not. We don't have an in and out plate. This is strictly a witness plate, or a rubbing plate is actually what it is. This is the rubbing plate. And you're supposed to tune the dials by rubbing this, another bogus way of tuning that has been around for years. Like everything else, Welz didn't invent anything, certainly not the rubbing thing, which is a very terrible way of getting rates, and highly not recommend. But there's no in plate, there's no out plate. This apparently, this is your rubbing plate and your witness plate, and the energy shoots out here where you're supposed to put a person's picture in front of for this really kind of silly technology. So you don't have an energy circle going on here, and the energy coming out through this ridiculous little tube, which is not even a good metal. When we looked at the other one, I don't know if this is, this looks like, again, he's just using some sort of cheap aluminum tube. Again, make something as cheap as you can. He's not using, as they all tend to think, copper and other things are so good for conducting energies. Well, he's not using that. He uses the cheapest thing he can get. Usually get tubes like this at a hobby store, for very inexpensive. But there's no in plate, there's no out plate. This basically, I guess, is the in and out plate. You put a witness on here, or at least this is where you're getting the you're tuning with, and I guess your out plate would be in front of this where you put it's there. So all of that, to think that some sort of energy that you tune in here is going to create that is just ridiculous, especially if it's going through toxic orgone. But again, it doesn't make much sense, and it's difficult to use if you don't have an in plate and out plate to put your pictures on. Now let's pry this up here to see what's under the great sensing plate. See if there's any connections, because we found out that there wasn't any connections under lots of people's plates. So what is this rubbing plate? So let's see here. Guess this is glue. It looks like at least there's a wire coming up here. A lot of people that make this shit don't even bother to connect it. But of course, you do have an insulating problem here. Is that sticking up at all? Looks like there may be a little bit. Again, you're putting plastic glues that are insulators on these things. This at least has the wire coming up from it to actually have some sort of transfer of some sort of demonic energy that he's famous for. I guess we really don't have to pull that up much more, but he definitely will go into this again on. If you want to see the guts of these things, this unit cost me $400 or $500, whatever it was when I bought it several years ago. So, stuff, research is not cheap, and I buy every instrument I can out there to take a look at it and see exactly what they have in it. See what they're doing. Does it make any kind of sense? So there does seem to be a wire here, but that's pretty bad. It should be a wire that has been stripped of insulation. And this wire, let me see if I can look at it a little closer. And of course, we'd have to see what that wire is, etc. But it's insulated wire, which means you're not really transferring energy very well that way. Again, if you're going to use wiring and stuff, you got to use it smart. If you're going to make an electrical plug and it doesn't plug into the wall, well, oh yeah, but it's electric. Well, it's not really electric. You're just using symbols of that. It doesn't fit into the electrical socket to grab the energy from it. It doesn't make any sense electrically. And of course, this doesn't make it either. So this is a bunch of goop. And of course, this in itself, by using, which it's hard not to when you're using glues, but it's an insulator. So you've got an insulator over this wire. That red wire here is plastic coated. So again, there's no in plate, there's no out plate. This is, I guess, is the in and out or whatever it is. And of course, the energy is flowing out of here. Now, what is this plate? Well, it's interesting because this is his goop again. He's using his typical orgonite goop, which doesn't have really in here. It's a powdered substance that it doesn't have the stuff that you see a lot of people have. Stones, so many other things. I don't see metal chips. So we don't really know what the goop in here is, if there really is anything in it. But from what I understand, there is some sort of powdered stuff in there that he thinks. Now, this is not just a typical, this is not plastic rubbing plate, that you just a piece of plastic like most people have. This is an orgonite, satanite, chemicals that are put in a little mold here and then glued on top here. So that is how that particularly works. And let's see what the kind of energy from this is with me pendulum. What did I do with me pendulum? So let's see if this orgonite goop, what kind of energy it puts out in general. So is this positive, negative, or neutral? Again, we certainly are picking up energy coming off of it, and it immediately turns into counterclockwise and negative. And here again, you've got some very strong negative energy here. Now remember, nothing turns counterclockwise that is good for you. What turns counterclockwise? Rat poison, Drano, any kind of poisons you can think of all go counterclockwise. I've never found anything negative to either go counterclockwise, or the ultimate setting with anything would be all three energies. That would mean a perfectly balanced substance, and there's very few of this in the world. Perfectly balanced substance would go clockwise, it would go counterclockwise, and it would go back and forth. These are usually, those kind of readings are taken with more pendulums that are on poles, from interesting and great ways of sensing energies. So there is strong negative energy there, and we'll test this yet again. See if there's any change. What is the main energy flow? Is this positive, negative, or neutral? Well, of course, it's negative, because I'm sure there's another organite demonic filth inside of this particular machine as well, because that's what usually surrounds this cheap aluminum piece of phallic symbol here, that this is supposed to do something, which is kind of comical. So all of that goes with it has to be understood of what is the, and people have perpetrated this guy and his technology for over 30 years, and it's really sad of how the radionic industry is really nothing more but a bunch of scumbuckets, kind of like science, who makes weapons and gives them to psychotic politicians to mass murder everybody for profit, and all the other people out there that are working for evil, like all the churches and all the Christians who support the police and the fire department and all the criminals that they are thinking that those people are on their team. I mean, all those things that go out there, and this is the kind of problems we have in life. But again, buyer beware. You got one of his stuff in your house? Well, I'd get it out of there quick. You need to bite the bullet. We all make bad investments in life. We buy something that breaks or wears out. The best thing to do with something like this is to throw it away. Plain and simple. And I would suggest hitting it with a hammer a few times to make sure nobody picks it up and tries to use it. Not that they would know what to do with it. But, we do have clearing plates that do help these types of machines. But, you're dealing with negative energies, and we cleanse out with our clearing plates are very effective. But, there's always going to be a residual there. And we're always fighting against the internal energy there that is evil. This is not just a machine that doesn't have validity, that doesn't work. This is a machine filled with toxic, deadly enemies and energies. So the whole idea is you need to understand that. So you need to bite the bullet and get rid of that garbage that you have and get something that really does work. And of course, the only people making anything that of value in the radionic industry is Radionic Tech. So that's just a fact, just like anything. You think there's quality, and when you get to advanced science like this and that anybody can make this, they think they can, but they can't. And they never have. So we have to understand that. And when you get into certain fields, well, you have to go with the experts and the credible people out there that are actually doing something, exposing frauds like this, and who've had 55 years of research behind them, and 30 years in radionics in particular. So all of that needs to be fully understood. As I said, if you want to see what's in the guts of this thing, you can actually join Patreon. We already have several machines shown there, and we actually go in and show you every bit of it in great detail. You'll see the exact parts that are used. We make sure we get the numbers off of capacitors and resistors to show you the colors there. So you see everything if you are a person that is involved in what we call occult engineering. So well, what is in here? What exactly are they using? Is it special? Is it unusual? Is there anything to it? Well, the bottom line is, there isn't with most of these things. But I always like to find out, well, what is this person using? People make lots of claims, but when you really look at their designs, there isn't much in there to be doing anything with. And people think that it's the design and parts when you, the operator, are still the major person to make things happen. The bottom line, this is consciousness technology. You need to understand that, because Satan's consciousness is in here. So we make tools that have pure consciousness in it. We clear it out. And we're moving into actually having you semi-assemble your machines to the last step of it so that your energy is in your machine from the start so it works much better. So all of our new technologies are coming out here relatively quickly. It's time to support organizations like this. Make sure you join Patreon. Make sure you go to All Access, our website, and join there. Make sure you like this video. And if you haven't subscribed, well, if you're interested in this, this is the only place you're going to get real information from. Unbiased information. Sure, I sell products, but if I find something good, I always state it's good. Unfortunately, that's rare. But the point is that that's what you have to do. And supporting organizations, you expect this kind of life-changing technology to continue to increase and be made available. You need to support those people. Always vote with your pocketbook. Always vote supporting people. That's how you make change in the world, not by a bunch of bogus or kneeling to fake gods. The whole idea is that you need to get out there and support those people doing something. And that's where the responsibility of the individual comes. But I hope you enjoy the tool. Let's look at some of the other crap here. Oh, what a nice little sweet. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, a nice little jack. Oh, a little light. Oh, nice little sticker. So the whole idea is, this is your typical machine. Now, this is not in terms of the way it's actually built. While it's still kind of low class in terms of it, you are using a plastic box, you are using stickers, all those things there. But in general, I mean, it's not a terribly made. The problem is what's going on here is that it's got terrible energy in it from a very, very evil person and everyone connected to him. Satanism is not a joke, people. Horrific things are done in their name, and they support all the other corruption systems around the world, and they have infiltrated every facet of our lives. And if you buy from them, you're part of the problem, and you are. This person was supported by and empowered by organized crime, as I allege, and plain and simple there. Of course, this is hard to prove. Of course, that's the whole idea. And you're going to go to the other criminals to prove that these people are criminals? Well, I'm afraid that's not how you're going to be able to get more and more. But you've been warned. You have any junk from that guy, you need to get rid of it. Do your own little pendulum test. If you are anybody with a pendulum, you'll find out exactly what I find out. And you should run. Get this out of your house. Get this out of your life. There's a long list of people who became sick and have died from the use of this type of orgone technology. And this is something I have lists and lists of people who have contacted me stating this. So this is all the reality that's out there, and you have just found out. And remember, this channel, of course, is suppressed and nobody's going to get the information, but you did. And if you're listening to this, you're one of the lucky ones. And really, that's all that matters, that it gets to the important, good people. The rest of the people, well, who cares about? So enjoy it. As I said, you want to see this, join Patreon and you get to see the marvelous garbage inside of this. Until next time.